Well, my current role is Vice Chairman of Daniel J. Edelman Holdings, which has in it the main firm of Edelman, Zeno, which is our sister PR firm, and Matter, which is our sports entertainment and experiential marketing company. So I look after Matter and Zeno globally, and in Edelman I run our global practices, which is really about our global capabilities, making sure we have the right capabilities in the right places, focused on the right clients. And I'm also responsible for the intellectual capital of the firm, which includes the Trust Barometer. The Trust Barometer is an annual measure of trusted institutions that we do. We've done it for 13 years. So we look at the levels of trust in business, government, NGOs, and media across the globe. And we use that information to help consult our clients on how they can be building more trusted relationships with stakeholders critical to their success across the globe and market by market. Well, I'm not sure I can kind of give you three, but maybe I'll kind of give you some explanation, right? The first thing that I find interesting in Asia Pacific this year is on a longitudinal basis. So over the last kind of 5 to 7 years, NGOs have emerged as the most trusted institution in Asia Pacific. And that is much, much different than it used to be. It used to be government and business were the two most trusted, and NGOs were the least trusted, with media somewhere in the middle. So I think we've seen an emergence of NGOs as NGOs in this region, homegrown ones, have become much better self-governed, much more transparent, and they're really focusing on issues that are important to governments, businesses, and consumers, specifically access to healthcare, access to education, environmental practices of governments and business, and labor and supply chain issues. I also think that NGOs, the global NGOs operating in the region, have really changed how they operate. They used to be what I would call name and shame, finger-wagging NGOs, kind of lecturing local governments and local businesses about how they should behave. I think they've changed their tack to become much more engagement-focused, working with governments and working with businesses to address issues that are of importance to society and local markets to enable long-term sustainable economic growth. I think the other interesting things for me this year are the huge gap between trust in business and government, which is generally, as an institutions, which is generally raising, versus trust in the leaders, government leaders and business leaders, which is going down. And there's a huge gap between trust in the institution and trust in the leaders, which I think means that business leaders need to start to manage their behaviors, and manage their behaviors in a very deliberate fashion versus managing communications that explain how they behaved. And the last finding I think that's of interest is what actually drives trust in business. And we've kind of looked at 16 drivers of trust in business, and we've put them into what we call 5 performance clusters. So from most important to least important, a business engaging regularly with stakeholders critical to their success, most important driver of trust. Operating with a high degree of integrity, not just abiding by the law, but being transparent and being moral and ethical. The third thing is its products and services, continuing to invest in innovation there to drive customer satisfaction and customer value. The fourth is purpose, that the business has not just making a profit as a motive, but operating in a way that is good long-term for the environment, operating in a way that consults NGOs, customers, and governments in how it operates. And last but not least is operational excellence, so delivering a return, consistent returns on investment for shareholders, being constantly recognized as an admired business, and having senior leadership that can be trusted. So I think the emergence of those 5 clusters with the operational cluster on the bottom to me is quite interesting, because the operational cluster used to be the #1 driver of trust. Now it's considered table stakes, or the cost of entry to even start to build trust. Well, look, I think that first of all, students studying strategic communications or public relations or whatever the program is are looking at our field at, I think, perhaps the greatest time of growth and opportunity that we've ever seen. I think there's tremendous opportunities for growth driven by social media and the level of sophistication and analytics and engagement required in our business today. I think that the melding of earned media, owned media, paid media, and social media provides an opportunity for, again, greater analytics and a need for greater analytics and kind of much more science to the art than historically been in our business. And I think it's important for students, specifically to your question, when they look at the Trust Barometer, to understand that there are formulaic or directional ways to build science into what we do in public relations. Traditionally, we've seen as simply writing news releases and putting them into the media. Today, we're about helping corporations behave properly, behave in a way that meets the expectations of stakeholders critical to their success, and also to really give an outside lens and an outside advisory role to corporate and government leadership.